Welcome to another edition of the CS Podcast, where you can hear interviews with journalists, collegiate and professional athletes, and other radio hosts. Be sure to check out past interviews at www.youtube.com/ChristianRE722. Welcome back to the CS Podcast. I am your host, Chris Chanafel, and I am now joined by 2014 NFL Draft prospect, quarterback out of the University of Wyoming, Brett Smith. Brett, thanks for joining the show, man. I really appreciate it. How's it going?
It's going well. Thanks for having me.
Hey, the pleasure's all mine. So we're going to be talking about your football career, and I want to start this interview off by asking you a very simple question, and that is, coming out of West Salem High School, and you had a lot of success out there. You were able to set a number of records over there. You were being recruited by schools like New Mexico State, Oregon State, San Diego State, and others. How did you decide that the University of Wyoming would be the best fit for you?
Actually, although I was, getting a little bit of recruiting action, I actually wasn't given a scholarship by any of those schools except New Mexico State. Between Wyoming and then a couple smaller schools, I decided that Wyoming was just the best fit. I really liked the system that they were running. There were a lot of similarities between my West Salem offense and the Wyoming offense that I was going to be a part of. So I also really love the coach that recruited me, Coach Pete Caligus, who's the defensive line coach now. Mm-hmm. So there were a lot of factors in going there.
Your first year at Wyoming, in 2011, you were a freshman, and you were able to get off to a very hot start to your career. You threw for over 2,600 yards, 20 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. You also ran for 700 yards and 10 touchdowns. You set a new Mountain West Conference freshman record for total offense with over 3,000 yards. Just got to ask you, how were you able to have so much success so early on in your college football career?
I think a lot of it was, just the system that the offensive coordinator at that time, Greg Brandon, he made me feel really comfortable in the offense and didn't overload me with information. But, I think realized the level of comfort that I had with the plays that we were running and the schemes that we decided to put forth in our offense. And he never gave me too much, but I think I also was able to absorb a lot and learn a lot over the course of, I think, 8 or 9 months that I was there, because I graduated early. I was able to participate in spring drills. So I just, I had a good grasp of the offense and a good feel for the direction that we were headed. And also we just had, I think we had real strong personnel that year offensively, so we were able to generate a lot of success.
Well, like I said, you threw for 20 touchdowns that season. Any chance you could tell us about that very first college football touchdown you threw and how it felt?
Yeah, well, basically the first touchdown that I had was actually a running touchdown, and then the first throwing touchdown was it was to Mazi Agbana. It was a basic fade route, and what I was trying to do was I just take one step and then throw it over his shoulder, and he beat the corner, and I just laid it over his head, and he was running, and he ran underneath it, the back of the end zone, and caught it. It was the best feeling in the world. I couldn't draw it up any better, and it was sounds cliche, but it literally was a dream come true. It was a pretty amazing feeling to get that first one.
Oh, I bet. Now, in 2012, Brett, you were named the team captain for the Wyoming Cowboys. Now, let me remind everybody, you're only a sophomore in 2012. Being one of the younger guys on the team still, what did it mean for you to be voted as one of the 4 team captains?
Yeah, that was, really special to me, just because, it was basically, the way it, in translation to me, it was, the team putting enough trust in me to put me in that leadership role to hold people accountable and to kind of show the younger guys, the ropes, and show them how things are done at that program, and just the way that things were done there, and the expectations that everybody had, and to be voted as a team captain was, I think, the biggest honor that I received while I was there.
And of course, you had another fantastic year that season. Although you missed 2 games due to injury, you still threw for over 2,800 yards, 26 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. Putting up those type of numbers, what were your personal expectations for this past season, being one of the top quarterbacks in the nation, Brett?
I wanted to, my personal goals, I wanted to put myself in a position to be one of the best in the country. As a competitor, I've always believed that was the case. That I, was one of the best, and I wanted to try to prove that to myself, but try to prove it to everybody as well, and put myself in, like I said, put myself in the talk and in the conversations of being, one of the best quarterbacks in the country, and try to, put myself on the map, I guess, in that regard. And that was a personal goal. And the way to do that was to just work extremely hard and try to fix up whatever I felt I needed to. Fix my mechanics and learn a little bit more, getting on the board and defenses and staying sharp on, learning the offense and whatnot, and making sure that the receivers and linemen were sharp on what we were doing offensively. There were so many factors into it, and then obviously the team goals were just to try to make it back to the league and try to win the league. So I went in with a lot of goals.
Mm-hmm. And looking back, you had a pretty nice personal year, 3,300 yards, 29 touchdowns, 570 yards rushing, 4 rushing touchdowns. Do you feel that you exceeded those personal expectations?
Yes. Obviously I felt like, there were some cases where I wish I could have played a little bit better. I wish I had performed a little bit better. At the same time, I felt like, I had a pretty good year last year, but just being the first I am, I'm never satisfied. I know I threw close to 3,400 yards. I wanted to try to get 3,500, and I wanted to try to throw 30 touchdowns. I got 29. I'm very hard on myself. I'm very competitive, and I don't want to settle for anything less than my best. And I wish I, would have performed a little bit better, but at the same time, I was, thought as an offense we did a great job at times of playing well and performing big in some big time situations.
Brett, after this season, you had a choice of being able to return to Wyoming for one more year, but you decided to forego your senior year to enter the 2014 NFL Draft. How hard of a decision was this to make, and why do you feel that this is the year for you to come out?
Yeah, it was very hard. I thought about it a lot, and I prayed about it a lot. There were just a lot of different things that I had to think about. And, I was actually leaning towards coming back. But I just, every time I thought about it, I just felt like declaring for the draft was the right decision for me. Whether that means I get drafted or I don't get drafted, I just felt like, I had the best opportunity to come out this year and try to compete to, be one of the top quarterbacks taken. Basically, from a strategic standpoint, I knew that, there was kind of a high demand for quarterbacks this year in the draft, and I felt like if I could try to be one of those top quarterbacks, and try to expose myself a little bit to some NFL teams, that hopefully I would be taking this year.
Yeah, I definitely love that you actually, you sat down, and it sounds like you really did think this out. So I definitely think you're making the right decision. And here's another, I would say, somewhat of a tough question for you, Brett, and that is, throughout your 3 years at Wyoming, I know you made many plays, man, but what do you think has been the most memorable play that you've made?
Just single individual play?
Yeah, just one play that sticks out more than others.
Oh, man, that's tough. Gosh, I remember my very, very first game as a freshman. I remember, throwing a touchdown to Rocker Haran with, how many seconds, like 10 seconds left or something like that, or 20 seconds. In the final minutes of the game. I remember that. I remember, a couple touchdown throws at Nebraska. And then just random ones. Like, I remember a few runs. I remember a few scrambles where I even threw it away. Like, a couple in New Mexico. I remember, Idaho where I was able to break away from somebody and then throw up that was incomplete. Just random plays like that. But I'd say the one that sticks out the most is probably that first game against Weber State when we scored in the final second.
Chris Schanfeld talking with Brett Smith, quarterback out of Wyoming, 2014 NFL draft prospect. And Brett, just a few more questions for you, and then I'll let you go. I really do appreciate your time, man. A couple of weeks ago, we had the 2014 NFL Combine in Indianapolis. How surprised were you that you didn't get an invite?
I was definitely disappointed. It was something that I wanted to do. I wanted to be a part of, and being told that you're not invited, it definitely was a challenging time. But I tried to take the positives out of it, and I just continued to go to work every day, despite the combine happening without me. That's just a part of the game. You're going to get knocked down a few times, and you got to get back up and keep pushing forward and keep working. And so that was just one of those times. I went back to work and continued to try and get better. And that's basically what I did with that situation.
And speaking of the NFL Combine, the NFL Draft, Brett, when did you realize that the NFL may not only be a dream, but it could become a reality?
Right when I declared it, obviously, it was pretty amazing. Just thinking that, potentially could get picked in the next few months by a team that I've been watching all my life, and by a business that I've been following for the whole 21 years that I've been on this earth. So it's pretty crazy to even think about potentially being a quarterback at the next level. But it's a dream, and it's something that I've always wanted to do. So I'm just embracing the grind time right now, and then it's going to be kind of a wait and see process of whatever teams that hopefully become interested.
It sounds like you're taking it one day at a time. Do you ever think that the next time you suit up for a football game, it looks like that it'll be for an NFL team?
Yeah, I've definitely thought about that before. Thinking the last 3 years it's been a Wyoming uniform, and then the next one it's going to be in an NFL uniform. Hopefully, if that be the case. So it's definitely something that I'm really excited about, really looking forward to, and working hard to try to achieve that goal. And I just can't wait. I'm really hoping that I get picked so I can wear an NFL uniform next year.
Absolutely. Now, Brett, if you would compare yourself to a quarterback currently playing in the NFL, who do you think that would be and why?
I don't know if I can make any direct comparisons. There are definitely quarterbacks that I try to emulate, try to take things from their game and try to incorporate it in mine. I love studying Drew Brees just because he's so mechanically sound, and he does a great job of getting the ball out quickly and keeping a good base. That's something that I've studied over the course of the last 2 months. And then, I love watching Aaron Rodgers. Mm-hmm. Just the way he controls the game and, demands everything from the players around him. And you can really see he raises the level of his players around him as well. And just, the way he gets the ball out quick, the way he reads defenses and just gets it out. There are a lot of quarterbacks that I watch and love to watch their games just to see how they do it. But to try to make a comparison, that's tough. I don't know. Those guys are all a lot better than me. So.
Hey, man, I understand. Let's say there's an NFL general manager out there listening to this very interview. Why should he want Brett Smith, quarterback out of Wyoming, on his team?
Gosh, it's something that I've wanted all my life, and it's something that I don't take lightly. Aside from my faith in my family, it's what I've always wanted to do. It's my dream. It's something that I'm going to work night and day as hard as I can to try to fulfill whatever role I have on that team. And I love to learn. I love to try to process new information. And it's going to be something that I embrace. I know it's going to be a tough adjustment at first, but it's something that I'm willing to do and willing to learn a lot and try to engage with other players and learn more about the game, so that one day when my number's called, I'm going to be ready. And it's something that I know I can do, and it's something that I'm going to work as hard as I can to achieve until I do it.
Really appreciate you taking some time, joining the CS podcast. I know you're getting ready for the NFL draft, man, and like I said, I'm wishing you nothing but the best. Before I let you go, is there anything you'd like to plug on there for myself and our listeners?
I just really appreciate you having me. It really means a lot. Whenever I get requested for an interview, it just means a ton. So thank you so much for having me, and God bless you, man. It means a lot.
Hey, thank you. I really appreciate that. God bless you, Brett, and best of luck, man.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for tuning into the CS Podcast. I hope you enjoyed. Please check out all of my past interviews at www.youtube.com/ChristianRE722. Once again, that's www.youtube.com/ChristianRE722. And be sure to follow me on Twitter at Chris Shanafelt.